You're going to go somewhere else.
I'm going to the different.
Boy, how do you like that, Dad?
Good, that's good.
I gotta put her down.
Well, tell me about your life. Yeah.
I was born in a log cabin.
You were not, Chester Gilmore.
Having to make it well.
Grandma, what is that my dad made on me?
Might as well make it juicy.
At the tender age of 0.
Might as well make it, add in a lot of extra things that'll make it real
Right.
exciting. Your dad was an outlaw and
Shot by an Indian.
Yeah.
Well, what I mainly want to do is, doesn't have to be long or real involved, but I don't know. Might just tell me a little bit about what you remember when you were little.
Well,
What were the fun things he liked to do?
You were born in St. Joe,
Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Yeah.
And do you remember living up there, or were you?
Vaguely, I can remember a few things. I remember one time we were playing jump the rope, you know.
Yeah.
Run, jump over. Kids were holding each side, and I went to jump. Well, of course, they jerked it, and I fell on a fruit jar and cut my hand.
Oh, was that right?
Yeah, I remember that. I couldn't see that.
Oh, yeah. Sheesh.
It's a pretty good scar.
Did they stitch it, or did it just heal?
It healed. It laid open wide, you know, clear down. You could look down in there. I remember looking down there. Well, that was deep. It seemed like you could just see something when it started. I don't know where they wrapped it or what they did. I can't remember they were being wrapped in. Probably was. And I can remember I went to kindergarten in Kansas City. And they'd chew you out something terrible when you were late, you know, scare you. I think I was 5 years old then, so they could scare you pretty easy. And you looked down, you couldn't hear the bell, but you could see everybody going in. And you knew you're late. So it was about like out here right now, cold winter, and there was an old chicken house back of somebody's yard. And we hid in that chicken house all day long.
Who were you with?
I think Clayton and Gene. 2 older brothers. And so we hid in there. Then we saw the high school kids going home. Well, we thought it was time to go home, but they got out earlier than we did. So we went home, you know. And I think there was an insurance salesman or somebody at the door. First thing I did is say, "What time is it?" "What time is it, Mom?" She knew something was wrong. That was the only time I ever played hooky. And then we moved to St. Joe. That's about all I can remember about that.
What school? Do you remember what school it was? You remember the name of the school?
No. I think we lived on Brighton Street then. 2020 Brighton.
You played hooky in Kansas City?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was in St. Joe.
And so then you moved over on.
Tell them about the janitor. They used to send a janitor to the restroom with him, because if they didn't, he'd run off and go home.
That's when I started the school. They had first day there, you know. They had to get the custodian up there to keep me in school.
You gotta go home.
So you moved down to St. Joe, and was that on?
Can't remember. We lived.
Well, you lived up in the north end for a while.
Seemed
Right?
like it was over on Carby Street where we first had a house. on about, 12th and Carby or something like that. There was about 3 houses right side by side that were identical. I think we lived in the third house of the 3 going down the hill. And next door to us there was an Italian family, the Tyrrells. He drove a hearse.
What grade school did you go to?
Oh. They had a Washington school over there in North End. And I went there for about a year. They tore it down. They was building Lindbergh again. I went to Lindbergh for maybe a year altogether. And then when we were living on 5th Avenue then. And then we moved over on right off of Green Street. That's up by Krug Park up in that area. And then from there we moved out in East End. Left Lindbergh and went out to 35th and Seneca. Stayed out there 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Blair grade school and then went to Bliss Junior High. About the last year or so, we lived over on 28th and Olive. Then the folks got that place out in the country out there. Remember, out on Route 5.
You mean they got that when you were still at Bliss?
When I graduated from Bliss, instead of going on to Central, I went to Benton. It was right at vacation time when we moved.
I see.
So I didn't have to travel across the.
No, that's the one that's up on the hill where I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, I lived there the whole time I went to Benton. And went 4 years to high school.
4 or 3? Or did you have 9th? Or I guess.
We had 8th, 9th, 10th, let's see.
Oh, you had 8th grade.
No, wait a minute. Junior high, we had 7th, 8th, and 9th. Can't remember.
Because I thought you finished a year early or something. Because you wanted to get into the war.
Yeah. Well, at the last year, I carried 2 years.
So you probably had 9, 10, and 11.
Yeah. 9, 10, and 11, and at the 11, I had 11 and 12, you see.
Yeah.
That's the way that worked.
What year was that when you left high school?
43.
And when was Uncle Gene killed?
Right off the bat, the war started, what?
41.
41.
42.
Well,
January or
he
something.
was killed in February, I guess. What is February?
January or February.
He was on the cruiser, Houston. And he was killed over in, near Borneo and all that. What, Strait? Was Borneo Strait or?
And you were in high school then?
Yeah, I was just, 41. I had another year or 2 to go.
Yeah, see, he was a little older. He missed that year when he had lung attack. And they were going to draft him. or something, weren't they?
Yeah, I was getting out there.
Miss
20.
Wilson- Miss Wilson and Miss Lutz were responsible for him finishing high school.
That's my whole life.
Ask him what kind of jobs he had when he was a kid. He worked at a lot of different jobs.
Yeah, why don't you?
Where his first job was, and he was working when he got lockjaw.
Where did you work when you were growing up?
Oh, there wasn't anything around really to do. When I was growing up, no one had any money, you know. It was Depression time. Carried handbills for George Gould.
What do you mean handbills? Advertisements?
Handouts, you know, for flyers or whatever they are for the grocery store. Instead of printing in the newspaper, they'd make up their little
Yeah.
own little flyers and would go from door to door and hand them out.
Was he a grocery store or something?
Grocery store there, 33rd and Mitchell. And then I worked for Willie Smalls. He had a dairy, washing milk bottles, and doing his yard work and what have you over there. Remember one year I dug his potatoes for him with pitchfork, you know, big horse weeds as high as his house. Boy, he had a lot of potatoes in there.
Huh.
Really a potato patch. And Melvin Jackson and I used to get a lot of yard jobs, cutting grass. Of course, we didn't have any power mowers then. We had that old push type, you know, that rotary blade on it.
Yeah.
And the sickle. We cut a lot of grass.
Huh.
Pick up money for the show or something.
So did you always spend your money, or did you?
Yeah, we just get enough to go to a movie. About all you get. Then I got a job for Al Shannon at the drugstore, shagging groceries or drugs.
Before that, he had lockjaw.
Yeah, I had a lockjaw when I was about,
Were you working for Willie Smalls?
yeah.
Tell me about that. What?
Well, the only thing I can really remember, I was delivering handbills that night when I started getting sick. You know, my back hurt so bad I couldn't get my mouth all the way over.
Is that right?
Uh-huh.
Your back hurt, huh?
Oh, boy. Yeah. And I think Clayton was one of the kids who was with me. I don't know which one it was, but when we delivering these handbills on the way past our house, you know, I stopped in and tell them how sick I was getting. Anyway, I finished carrying the handbills. Got back home. Well, they decided that they better call a doctor. He come out. I didn't know what I had until after I was well. I thought if I knew it might scare me, you know, and make it harder for me to get well or something. They said I either had spinal meningitis or lockjaw. It turned out to be lockjaw. And I spent 3 weeks in the hospital. They had some kind of new medicine. They had the highway patrol bring it from Kansas City then, which I guess was pretty great stuff. And I got it from, I was digging post holes for this Willie Smalls that I worked for, washing the milk bottle. He wanted to run a new fence line, and I dug the hole out through his cow lot. That's where the germs are around cattle, this tetanus germ. And I had a hangnail on my big toe, an old pair of tennis shoes, and I got infection in that toe.
Did you have a hole in your shoe?
Yeah. Toe went out, I guess. Probably had a hole in both shoes, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had lockjaw. when we was living over on Carvey Street, I fell down, broke a collarbone. Nobody was paying attention to me until it had knitted, you know. Well, I was little enough that mother got me, I was going to wash my neck, you know. And she noticed a big knot there then. Finally, it took me to the doctor then, and it had already knitted. They said it,
Have to break it again?
no, he decided I was young enough to, maybe I'd be round-shouldered. He suggested I didn't wear overalls for a while, you know, because the straps might pull a little bit, make me more round-shouldered. But they decided not to break it anymore, and everything, as far as I know, I'm not round-shouldered.
So did you work in high school then for Shannon, or?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but you lived quite a ways away from him, didn't you?
Yeah, I used to get off at 11 o'clock, ride the bicycle, clear out to Route 5 every night.
Oh, you got off at what time?
11.
At night? And you'd ride from Mitchell, or from
Messina Street.
Messina all the way out to the.
Clear out to.
And that is a long way.
Yeah, it's probably 5 or 6 miles or so.
There's some big hills too.
Yeah. Giants.
I'll say. You didn't have a 10-speed back then either, I bet.
No. Never seemed to bother me though. Oh, I used to get charley horses in my legs. You know, I'd wake up at night and then muscle would be drawn. I had a broomstick. Cut the broomstick and put it beside my bed, and I'd get up and stand on that broomstick, rub my leg.
Oh.
Work that charley horse out. Ooh, that hurt.
Now what do you mean? You stood on the broomstick?
Arch, across my arch of my foot.
Oh.
Keep my toes from pulling.
Oh.
Rub my legs. And it would work it out of it. That's from riding that bike so much, you know. They, then, you know, you put one of those straps on your back and you put a case of beer in it, and then you'd have your
basket
full, yeah, and then you'd go out and then you'd deliver. It was up in the black neighborhood, you know, from Al Shaman's on up. Most of those people up that way were all customers were. I worked with black people.
Didn't have anybody chase you down for money or anything?
No, I had a few of them hold my bike, you know, and give me a hard time for a while, and then when they got tired of it, I let you go and go on.
Yeah.
Most of them knew Shannon, though, and knew me.
Yeah.
I did that probably 3 years or so.
Huh.
And then...
Well, what'd you do? Ride your bike from high school up there and then ride it back home? Every day?
No, from high school, I'd either walk home or have a school bus.
Yeah.
After I got home, I'd get my bike and go on to Shannon's.
It's a long way, Dad.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't...
You didn't realize how far away it was, I guess, huh?
No, I didn't seem to mind it. Nobody had a car to drive, you know.
Yeah.
There weren't any cars for young people. You know, that Benton parking lot, there probably wasn't 15 cars down there. Now you can't get near the place.
Oh, yeah.
They're parked the whole back and the side and all the fronts full of cars now.
Well, did you have any religious training when you were a kid at all?
No. No, we went up to the Presbyterian church to the Boy Scouts. Other than that, I didn't go to church.
So you were in Boy Scouts for a while, or?
Yeah, I never did like it.
Yeah.
We went, I passed tenderfoot. Started on, second class.
Uh-huh.
I never cared much. We had our own group of boys. We wanted to go out and camp where we camped. We wanted to hike, we hiked.
Uh-huh.
Then this organized camping and hiking, I don't know. more fun without the adults, I think.
Now, didn't you go swimming out the Platte River one time and get your head full of?
Yeah, I got my head full of sandy water. Got my sinus all plugged up. My head all swollen out.
That was when you were still younger kid.
Yeah. Can't remember too much about it other than really they put hot pack and then a cold pack and hot pack and a cold pack.
Yeah.
I think Mother could tell you that I was delirious or out of my head for a week or something like that.
Yeah.
Don't remember too much about that.
Do you guys do a lot of fishing and hiking and stuff when you were younger?
Didn't do much fishing. We did a lot of swimming and a lot of hiking.
Yeah.
A lot of camping out.
Just out there by the Platte River? Or?
Yeah, by the river, yeah. Then, you know, through the summertime, the houses didn't have any air conditioning.
Yeah.
Or window fans. Folks had one fan about this big, you know, about 12-inch fan that they had by their bed. We slept with a pallet in front of the door. We used to, boy, Melvin and I were, Clayton, we'd go up to the park, sleep out up the park.
Which park was that? Bartlett Park?
Bartlett Park. Yeah. You could do that then without people bothering you, you know.
Yeah.
What they call the good old days. There weren't a lot going on.
Yeah. Well, did you guys had electricity and?
Yeah, always had lights and water, as far as I can remember.
What bathrooms? You had to go out back in the outhouse, or did you have bathrooms?
We had a bathroom.
Did you?
Yeah. Place out in the country didn't have one for a while.
Yeah. Well, that's nice.
Folks had it put in after a year or two out there.
Yeah.
And
Did you ever have any girlfriends?
Ask me.
you know, I didn't really have time for a lot of girlfriends.
Yeah.
Ask me about when he got into the service.
Oh yeah, I know what I get. I want you to tell me about when you were riding down the hill and on the bicycle and
Oh, I got my teeth knocked out.
what happened.
My brother Bob and I were heading from Seneca Street down towards to Mitchell Avenue. And that's not much of a hill, you know. Just slanted. And he was young enough that I was scaring him by hollering, "I ain't got no brakes, I ain't got no brakes." And he started kicking and screaming, and he kicked his foot back up into the fork of the front wheel there. Locked that front wheel, and I went sailing over the top of him and lit on my face.
Gee, you had brakes though, didn't you?
Yeah.
You were just saying that, huh?
Yeah, I just scared him. His shoe caught in the front wheel, you know, and
Yeah.
jerked him down, put a little knot on the side of his head there, about as big as a quarter. Broke my two front teeth out. Split my lip.
Right on the street, huh?
Yeah.
That was probably a bloody mess.
Yeah, that was a tragedy. Because I went that way from, heck, probably 3 or 4 years long.
You were in the service, didn't you?
No, I had probably junior in high school. I had a gold deal put on them with a peg with a false tooth. That peg hooked them together with a kind of looked like Eileen Kump's now. I never did like it. You know, the outer edge of the tooth, you could always see a gold. And then when I was in the service, I got them knocked out again some way. Oh, going down a ladder aboard the ship.
What happened?
Just slipped going down, hit my mouth on that round. Dentist built me another plate.
Navy dentist.
Yeah, did away with that and put a little bridge, a little partial plate.
Yeah.
Then I got stung by a scorpion. What else happened to me? Broke my foot, a foot bone. Yeah, Quaker Oats.
Just tell him about your Navy, about your.
Well, we haven't gotten to the service yet.
You never saw a basketball game until after we were on high school basketball.
Yeah.
Uncle Dick took us.
We didn't miss much neither.
What about what made you decide to go into the Navy?
No. Older brother Gene was in the Navy, and Clayton he had joined the year before. And you're naive enough to think that maybe you'll be together, you know. He went to the Atlantic. I never did see him. That time, if you wanted to go into the regular Navy, you had to sign up for 6 years. So that's what I did. Clayton was in for 6 years. And I went to the Pacific, and he stayed in the Atlantic. After the war ended over in the Atlantic, he got transferred to the Pacific, but we never were, or we saw each other.
Yeah.
If we were ever close, well, we didn't find it out till after he had already left.
Yeah.
I'd get a letter from home and say that he was close to where I was.
Where'd you go for boot camp? I mean,
Farragut, Idaho.
Farragut, Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that at? Is that up by Boise or?
Well, I think it's pretty close to Spokane, Washington.
Yeah.
Because the train took us into Spokane.
I see.
We went through Spokane, then we went into Farragut. And it was probably another 30 minutes out of Spokane someplace.
And how long were you at boot camp?
It might have 8 weeks. Had 8 weeks training then. And, huh? I think it was 8 weeks.
And did they make you some kind of a patrol leader or something? Because you'd had ROTC training?
Yeah, they call it recruit CPO. I got to be well, they had 2 companies in our barracks, and I got to be drill instructor or whatever over the 2 companies was in it, which made it pretty nice. I enjoyed boot camp.
You did?
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, you're young enough, you know, and healthy, and
Yeah.
you got to run the obstacle course, close order drill, and all that good stuff. After you got over getting all your shots.
Did you have to have a lot of shots?
About the first day, they give you about 9 of them. And then your arms are so sore you can't raise them, you know, and you have to get up the next day and run an obstacle course.
Sheesh.
It's terrible.
Well, they just have you walk down a row and with your arms out or something, and they just shoot you, or?
Yeah, you just walk down between the medical
Yeah.
corpsmen on each side of you. Fill you full of good stuff.
Huh. And so after boot camp, where'd you go?
Went to California at Treasure Island. Went right on that place and got aboard a ship. That was that Smithsonian I was telling you about the other evening. Got aboard it, and we went to New Caledonia.
Now, what's What kind of a ship was that?
and it was a converted luxury liner.
Oh.
Belonged to the Matson line, I guess. They call it the Matsonia. There was a troop ship, and in the Navy they had a lot of what they call acorns and patsus and cashews, and they were groups made up for the naval air ground crew, you know. And so they had a lot of servicemen working on islands over there that they'd build these naval air bases. And I was attached to an acorn outfit. After we got to New Caledonia, and then they put us on a little ship off the big one and sent us into an island.
And what's New Caledonia? Is that just an island somewhere out there?
Just an island out in the Pacific, yeah.
And so you got off your big ship and they put you on a smaller one and they sent you to another island then?
Yeah, Vella La Vella.
To build an airfield?
They were building an air base there then, yeah. They were, well, after they got it built, they were bombing Bougainville from there. It was a Japanese-held island on up the line.
And what did you do on that island? I mean, did you actually go out and help build the airstrip, or?
We were helped building the road. I drove a dump truck. Go into a coral pit and then fill it full of, well, it's like, well, this coral's made from shells of little animals that through the thousands of years ends up with it. It's kind of like a little fine rock.
Well, they make cement out of that or something, or what?
No, they'd dump it as they dug it out. It packed down like like a hard, almost like.
And so they landed right on that.
No, on the airfield, they would lay that out, and then they would lay metal. Had holes in it about this big and about this wide, and had interlocking.
Oh, I see.
They put down a regular pad of that
Yeah.
metal, make a regular metal landing field. And we used our coral and the trucks and the bulldozer and what have you to build roads all over the island, plus build airfield. Kind of like a CB outfit in construction.
So where did you go from that island then?
Stayed there till after they got Bougainville pretty well bombed out, and then we moved to Green Island.
Where did you get stung by the scorpion?
On this Vella La Vella.
The first island, huh?
Yeah. They had and at nighttime they had a generator, had two big generators that supplied the electricity for our group. And they had to have somebody on watch all night. And I think I had the last watch or the middle one, I can't remember which, but anyway, when I went back and went to bed, well, I got stung.
It was in your bed, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have to get up and shake your clothes in the morning, and had little lizards running all over the place. Scorpions, centipedes. Anyway, I got stung there. After we left that island, we went to Green Island. It was only about 8 miles long and about 2 miles across. And they had a great big air base on that. That thing was almost one great big long strip. They had from there they were bombing Truck Island. Japanese had a big base on Truck. And built that thing up.
So you actually built the whole airstrip on that island then?
Yeah, helped build it.
Huh. Were you ever, the Japanese ever try and come over and bomb those while you were on them, or?
They bombed Vela, they never did bomb Green Island.
And you were there when they bombed it?
Yeah.
So what do you do? Where do you go on an island?
We had regular
Bunker.
bunkers built. Crawl down in. It was interesting to crawl down in them things at night.
Were you scared?
Yeah, I think so.
What do you mean? It happens at night? They come in and
Yeah, they bombed me at night.
you have to crawl down in there with all the bugs.
See all the bugs and there'd be old land crabs and what have you, you know. That, you know, fall down in there and couldn't get out themselves.
Yeah.
You wouldn't turn any lights on so you could see what you're getting into. Couldn't shine any lights around, they'd drop a bomb on you. You think they would anyway.
And did that happen often, or?
No, that's 2 or 3 times. The war was moving on pretty good by then.
Did they do a lot of damage?
No,
Do you recall?
no. When they drop it, they seemed like they never did hit anything.
Well, that's good.
You end up out there in the coconut patch somewhere.
So you went from Vela to Green what?
Green Island.
And you built an airstrip there, and you never got bombed there, huh?
Never got bombed there.
Well, how long were you sick from the scorpion? It stung you behind the neck?
Back of my head someplace. About a week. I was in a hospital a week. I lost about 15 pounds over it.
Huh. What was the weather like down there?
Hot, moist, and rain. It rained every day.
Is that right?
Rainy season, it would rain night and day.
Yeah.
When I got to, I guess it was Vela when we got there. It was raining then. It was terrible. It was a regular swamp.
Is that right? So what do? You get to the ship, and then they put you in small boats and you go ashore? Is that how you do it?
Yeah. Some places they had places for larger
Yeah.
landing craft go right up to the beach.
Yeah. So you spent some time on the second island building airstrip, and then where'd you go?
Went over to Bougainville.
That's where they were bombing from.
That's where they was bombing from Vela, yeah.
I see.
I stayed there till they flew me out of there back to Guam. I was on my way home. 7th Fleet headquarters was at Guam at that time. Flew me back there, and that's when I got peanuts, and olives, and lettuce, milk, all that good stuff you never see
On Guam, huh?
on Guam, yeah.
So you didn't spend much time at Boga, whatever? Boga.
Bougainville, yeah, Bougainville. Seems like we spent a couple months there, but I can't remember how long.
And was there a lot of damage there from the bombing?
I never saw any.
Oh,
I wasn't aware of any.
yeah.
It was pretty well settled in. If there were any Japanese, they said they were way up there, you know,
the mountains.
in the mountain. There was an active volcano on Bougainville. Still is, I guess. There's always smoking.
Uh-huh.
The Australians had a base there. Met a lot of Australians.
And did you? What were you doing? Building another strip there on Bougainville?
No, we just went in there and stayed. Really didn't do much of anything. It was already, they had everything already built.
I see. The Japanese did, you mean, or?
No, we did. Anything the Japanese had, we tore it up before we
Yeah.
went in there.
And were you following, I mean, was there like ground assaults there before you got there?
There was, yeah. They had the United States lost a lot of men there in Bougainville. They fought a big war there. There's a lot of, it was a pretty big island. They lost a lot of Japanese there too.
Were these guys Marines or were they Navy people too, or what?
Marines and Army.
Hmm. So did you come in right after the assault, or were the
When we were there,
things
it was
pretty slow?
It was all settled, yeah.
Yeah. So then you went to Guam after Bougainville.
Went to Guam and then flew. No, I didn't fly. I took a ship back to the States. I don't know, it took 30 days or so to get back.
How long were you in Guam?
Probably a week. One day.
So, now Guam, that was also a Japanese. I mean, they had that for a while, didn't they?
Yeah, they took Guam. We took it back though.
Now, when you were there, it was when we got it back, or were you there and then we lost it again?
No, we didn't lose it again.
I see.
We had it back. We had it. This time that we're talking about now is almost 3 years.
That amount of time?
Yeah, I hadn't been back to the States
For 3 years.
for 3 years. It's going to be, time I get back into Seattle, it's going to be 3 years.
So the war's over by then?
Just about. Let's see. No, it's not over yet. Because I'm, where am I?
Did you go to Point Barrow after you came back from Seattle? Was the war still on when you were up there?
No. I came back into Seattle, went home for a leave. It seemed like when I was transferred to Klamath Falls, Oregon. The war was still on then.
Yeah, because you shipped out again after that.
Yeah. Kind of vague from there too. I don't remember where I went. I think the war was over when I was in Klamath Falls. That's when the war ended.
But you shipped out after that again, huh?
Yeah, I went back to
California.
went to the Philippines.
So the war was over when you were in the Philippines?
Mm-hmm.
So after Oregon, then you went back right straight down to the Philippines?
Yeah, I went to the Philippines.
What'd they have you do down there?
Stopped on the way. Stopped at Pearl Harbor. Oh, we changed ships or what we did there. I was aboard a water barge, water tanker,
Yeah.
and they had a freshwater. Well, they pumped water up and aerated it and purified it and what have you. And then we put it aboard our ship and took it out to the fleet would come in there at Subic Bay
In the Philippines.
in the Philippines. And we would pump fresh water aboard the ships.
I see.
And then I was on it for a while, and then they had a graveyard, or they call it a graveyard, for they decommissioned these ships and store them there.
Uh-huh.
And I was aboard a tug that we would keep them, tow them out and secure them to the big line of them.
Yeah.
And then we had a typhoon there when I was there, and when they all broke loose and got washed ashore, washed out wherever they were, while the typhoon was going, we were trying to catch them, you know.
During the typhoon?
Yeah, and tie them back up, but we'd get one all tied, and it would just
Snap them.
it would pull us right on into the beach, you know. We couldn't couldn't hold them. So after the wind and the water, everything settled down where we had to drag them off the beach again and take them back out and tie them all back up.
And wasn't that kind of scary?
Yeah, that was. At one time, I went aboard a ship there, and they couldn't hold it, you know, and it got away, and I floated all the way in. It was beached, went down over the side and went to the ground and walked all the way around, come back to where our tugboat was. That was exciting, adventures, you know, fun. We had some lieutenant running around, remember, he's driving up in his Jeep hollering, "We're caught in a southern circle." He was hollering, "We're caught in a southern circle." He was talking about that wind coming around, you know, and it was going to come right down through the bay there, and we were going to be in a southern circle.
Huh. Typhoon.
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
Yeah, that's Subic Bay. Let's see. They had a Marine garrison there, and a lot of ships. And had a submarine base there. Quite a few sailors.
Uh-huh.
Don't remember seeing any army there at all. It's still, the United States still has a naval base there,
Yeah.
which they have to negotiate every time they turn around now. They want another $1 million for us to stay there.
So
I always liked the Filipinos. When I was there, they got their independence. I can't remember what year it was. We were going to go to Manila. That was about 80 miles on up the coast for the big celebration when they got their independence.
So where'd you go after the Subic Bay?
I went aboard an LST and went to China.
What's an LST?
Landing craft. I think they call it landing craft tanks or something like that. It was the one that went into the beach. They would open up the doors and put a bow door down and unload the equipment.
Oh.
They could haul trucks, jeeps, tanks, oil, or whatever.
Yeah. So you went to China, huh?
Went to China and stayed in China 7 months. We went into Hong Kong and got a load of rice and went to Shanghai and went up the Yangtze River. About 750 miles or something like inland. Took a load of rice up there. And then we went back down, went to Hong Kong, and we were hauling Chinese troops to Manchuria. They were still fighting the communists over there yet. It's what the General Chiang Kai-shek. They still had the nationalists, the people that are living in Taiwan now, you know. They were still, we were supporting them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pretty interesting country.
Didn't you say that you'd throw your garbage over the side of the ship and the people
Yeah,
come out?
we used to lower it to them.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. If you throw it over, they'd try to retrieve it anyway. But anything that we didn't eat, we'd lower it down. And they'd take it.
Sheesh. Just come out on a boat, you mean? And
Yeah.
That's on the Yangtze River, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yangtze River.
Yangtze.
So after China, where'd you head?
Oh my, so where'd I go from China? Came back into San Diego, and they were going to Point Barrel, Alaska, taking aviation fuel up there. They've got an air base up there, up at Point Barrel. It's right up the top of the world, and we were taking fuel up there. That's a pretty interesting trip. We left San Diego and went into Seattle, and they fitted the bow doors with big 10 by 10 boards. We were going to go through the ice. You know, they had an icebreaker breaking the ice for us, and then that ice would swing back around, hit the ship, and we had holes in the side of that ship that you could drive a truck into time we got in there and got out.
Is that right? Well, how did you do that? I mean, how could you stay afloat with that kind of a hole?
Well, see, the ship's built of compartments, and up here where it's all chopped up, well, it would be a square.
Sealed off.
Yeah, it would be a series of, and then we pumped water in the back of it and raised the front up, tried to get it up so we wouldn't drag so much water. Just shift the ballast back to the back. Kept right on chugging.
Jeez. Wow. So after Alaska, where'd you?
No, where'd I go after that? Seemed like we came back into Washington, went back down to San Diego. And then we played down there from there till the time I was ready to be discharged. We'd take troops out and make landings, you know. Have them practice landings. And we did that till I was released. Came back to St. Joseph.
When were you released? What year was that?
Let's see, what is it? 49, I guess. June of 49.
So then, you want to cook it?
No, I don't think so.
So then,
Gonna have to go to the bathroom there pretty soon.
oh, you want to go to the bathroom? So you got out in 49, huh?
Yeah. On that trip to Point Barrel, Alaska, we saw an awful lot of whales.
Is that right?
And water was beautiful up there too. It was a dark green. And we had whales that would come up right up and come in between our ships, right beside the ships, and they looked like they would be over 100 foot long, you know, just monsters. And out in the distance, you could see from the horizon curve back the blow spouts, that water blowing up, you know, where they breathe. quite a sight.
Did you like the Navy? I mean, you know, as much as you can like.
I did, yeah. A lot of it I like.
What'd you like about it?
Well, if anything, I liked seeing, being places, you know. I didn't
Yeah.
like any of the everyday boredom and monotony.
Yeah.
But I like being out on the water. And I like the adventure of it, you know.
Yeah.
And I like seeing the Philippines and China and the islands. And like sailfish, you could just stand on the side of the ship and watch those things
Fly through the
break
air.
the water and fly all the time, you know. Or you see a school of porpoises or big fish or the whales.
Yeah. Did you ever see any sharks?
Yeah. On one of the islands, I can't remember which one it was. We had fishing parties. They'd let us go out for a couple hours, you know, different groups all through the week, and then on Friday they'd have big fish fry. Well, these little sharks would be 2 or 3 feet long, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'd keep and catch them, and they would be part of our fish fry.
Mm.
And we caught some pretty big sharks.
Mm-hmm.
Caught some nice big fish. We'd troll around the reefs and around out in the bay, or just out in the ocean,
Yeah.
catching fish. Something to do with your time.
Was that fun,
Yes.
fishing?
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Where were you when they dropped the bomb?
I don't know.
Do you remember hearing about it?
Must have been in yeah, I can't remember anything in it. Can't remember hearing about it now, but I'm sure he must have heard about it. I must have been in Klamath Falls though, because I think I was in Klamath Falls when the war ended, you know.
Oregon?
Yeah, and when that, it didn't take long after they dropped the atomic bomb, then they dropped the second one. Well, you know, that just about ended the war.
Yeah. So they didn't bomb them both at the same time. Huh? I thought they bombed them just same day or something.
Mm-mm. No, they dropped it and then, you know, let them
Give them a chance to
realize
surrender.
what it was going to do, and then they dropped another one. I think, just vaguely, I think they may have been a week apart or something like that.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, if you drop one of those things, you know, you can see the results, you know, and then give them a chance to surrender.
Boy. Seemed like I wanted to ask you about this. Grandma, I think I was talking to Grandma, and it might be in her personal history that I wrote up. She said that you would have to come in after an assault and bury men. Was that ever the case, or was she just thinking of, was she wrong?
We buried them, yes. We buried them and helped dig some up after the war, too.
Oh, was that right?
Yeah, in Guam, we helped dig them up and
Oh, what? Why? Because they made just a temporary burial place or something?
got the boys that they had buried there that they wanted to bring back
Oh,
to the States. And graveyards.
well, did they have them in caskets or what?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A lot of them were in sheets too,
Uh-huh.
whatever. Dig them up, put them in they had a chaplain there. Wherever they were marked. Well, then they had some natives over there that helped us
Uh-huh.
do the digging.
Yeah. Well, that would be, that would had to be kind of gruesome.
Yeah.
Did you wear a gas mask or anything?
Had a cloth.
Was that on every island you went on?
No.
Just in Guam?
Just in Guam.
Yeah. And they identified them just with the dog tags or something?
Yeah. Plus they had, I suppose they had them marked when they put them in there.
Yeah.
That much I didn't know too much about them.
So what did you actually do? I mean, what was your actual job?
I was just trucking,
Yeah.
driving the truck, working there in the cemetery.
Hmm.
I only had to do that on Guam.
Mm-hmm.
On Green Island, we had a lot of planes come back and shot up. We had one of them, they all jumped out. They had one land in a tree way up there. And we took our tent, we had to sleep in the tent, we took our tent down and held it. And one of them that cut his straps dropped in there and he